skills, learn tunes, practice being in front of a group of people. But one day, one of the nurses came to me and said, you need to go do music therapy. They knew I was a music therapy major, but they're like, you need to go do music therapy right now. And I was like, well, I'm a student, I cannot, I did my little, I was like, I can't do that, I'm not qualified. And she said, no, a woman was actively in the dying process right then. And she said, can you go sing to her? And I said, okay. And so I did, and I'd never experienced that before, what it was like to be around somebody. And she wasn't conscious, she was just breathing. And I didn't know her very well, but I had talked to her one or two times. And so I sang the songs that she had mentioned. She liked the song Sentimental Journey, which, if you know that one, it's a beautiful song. And there were other hymns too, and her roommate was in the room. And so myself and her roommate and I sang to her and for a few hours, and we were the last people who ever interacted with her that way. And it was deeply moving, and I felt a sense of duty, maybe, a sense of honor, something so intimate, to be with somebody. And I thought everybody deserves that. I thought, I guess it's my turn to be part of this tradition that throughout history, isn't that what humans do? I felt like it was my turn to be part of this sacred tradition. And maybe that's why I've been doing music so long. It felt powerful. So I guess I should back up and say, so music therapy, if you don't know, is the clinical definition I had to memorize in school was, we had to learn a song. It goes, music therapy is the clinical and evidence-based use of music interventions to accomplish individualized goals within a therapeutic relationship by a credentialed professional who has completed an approved music therapy program. We did that again. That's how we remembered that long. We did that actually, they broke us into groups one day, and each group came up with their little melody for that whole definition. We put it together, that's why the song's like that. But it's like you're using music as the mode to help people. You want people to accomplish their goals, and those goals are very varied. We work with a lot of different people. Music therapists work in hospitals, in prisons, schools, private practice, you name it, really. And these goals sometimes center around the spiritual, especially in a hospice setting or in medical settings. People will often request that's a goal of a lot of people. But healthcare does not usually address the spiritual side, our spiritual needs. There are exceptions, of course. There's hospital chaplains, there's doulas and midwives, sometimes incorporate different spiritual, religious practices. But oftentimes in healthcare, the places where people are vulnerable, it's sort of, it's a separate domain. And sometimes that can be a real problem for people need that. I read this book recently. It's called Being Mortal: Medicine and What Matters in the End by Dr. Atul Gawande. He's a surgeon and an author, and he was, I'm forgetting which, I learned, someone told me this yesterday, that he was involved in the government boards until he was no longer doing that in this administration, but he wrote, and the book's fantastic. It's sort of part memoir, part research, but he writes, people with serious illness have priorities beyond simply prolonging their lives. Surveys find that their top concerns include avoiding suffering, strengthening relationships with family and friends, being mentally aware, not being a burden on others, and achieving a sense that their life is complete. Our system of technological medical care has utterly failed to meet these needs, and the cost of this failure is measured in far more than dollars. And it's not just people who have serious illness. Don't we all want to have meaning in our lives? Don't we all want to feel at peace with ourselves? And so sometimes music therapy can bridge that gap. It's within the scope of practice to support people within their spiritual journeys if that is what the client wants. Often, and that would be, the client would guide that and the therapist would do their best to honor whatever their spiritual practice is. Of course, we're not chaplains, we're not religious, we're not trained in that way, we're not religious like clergy people, but this could be a part of people's journey. And I was asked for today, what is spiritual to me about music therapy? And I had to think about that for a while. And I think the thing that makes it spiritual to me, what I'm learning, when I'm still on this journey of knowing, is I think it asks you to listen with somebody else's ears. Another big part of music therapy is that we, as much as possible, the priority is to use the client's preferred music. Client-preferred music is the term. And that's for many reasons. The research has borne out when you use music that people like and are motivated by, they're more likely to reach their goals. We've got heaps of research on that. But I think there is a deeper reason, which is that therapy is about relationships. It's about you and that person. And to really honor somebody, you have to see things from their perspective, take on their point of view. And when you learn music for somebody, I think it's an act of empathy. Everybody has their taste in music. Everybody has things they think they like or they don't like. But that's not really allowed as a music therapist, at least not with the client. You can't say you don't like this genre or that one. No. You do your best in the moment. You bring them to the best of your ability, what you can. And we're ethically bound to always be learning and improving and expanding our repertoire and everything music, we're always supposed to be learning. But sometimes, of course, that's difficult. But I thought that this quest to be empathetic to people, to take their perspective, to listen to them, their music, what is inspiring to them. I was thinking about the UU principles that were talked about a couple weeks ago, specifically pluralism and equity. And pluralism, you're listening to somebody else, their perspective. There are many roads to take, many sounds, lots of ways to have good music. And equity, just that even if it sounds different than your taste, that is also equally valuable, that it's worthy, that it's art. I feel deeply about respecting music of all people. And so I thought, okay, how might this be relevant to everybody else? And I thought maybe I could just sort of offer a prompt maybe for everyone to maybe this week or whenever take some time and listen to something maybe you wouldn't ordinarily listen to. Maybe something you think you don't like. And to sit deeply with it and to think, what is the artist, what are the musicians involved, what are they saying? What's important to them? What's important to somebody who might like this music? What are the values here? What's fun about it? What's sacred about it? And how are you approaching it? Who are you here? Are you learning something new, maybe? To listen, I think, is an empathetic act, and that's something I'm trying to cultivate within myself every day, is to be a better listener. And that's what I think is spiritual about music, is that you have to listen.